A couple of years ago, this would have taken the best graphic designer on my team days, if not weeks, to build here on the left. I built it in just a couple hours, and I built a number of variations in one day. And the cool thing is that we are actually transferring her website from this Squarespace site over to this React website. And it's extremely beautiful. She had a lot of input in it. The other thing is I gave her a lot of options. So I actually have this little feature where I can give her tweaks. She can kind of control and kind of look at some different areas. So she gets some different options. She absolutely loved this editorial version. It's also mobile responsive. It's going to be extremely high converting once we turn the ads on. But the cool thing is in 2026 is this is what an AI power user is doing. They're using things like Claude Code and Codex. They're not subscribing to some random, vibe coders uh, weekend project and just kind of paying API rates for the same ChatGPT and Claude. They're actually using agentic tools that are really well priced from Anthropic and OpenAI. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm actually going to show you what this looks like. So typically right now when most people I talk to, even the people that are like really high pay, they're in corporate, they run their own businesses, especially photographers, they're normally telling me that they're like using ChatGPT every now and once in a while to like write a blog, get a marketing idea, write website copy, write their Instagram posts. And that's great, but that's like the bare minimum. That is the capabilities of like 2023, early late 2022, right? And really what we've built, and this is like maybe overkill, but I actually think this is what every company should have, is that we basically have one shared repository. So we basically have code and like just marketing documents, all markdown files or sometimes documents, all on our computers that we share. And then we just have this huge repository of skills and context and rules and rubrics for grading our work to do things really, really fast. So if we've ever built Google Ads once, right, or we've obviously done it thousands of times for different campaigns, why not just document the best way to do it, put the best examples in one skill, and then give it to basically an agentic harness, right? So Claude Code or Codex to basically think about it, compare it, optimize it, improve it, follow that structure, follow those examples, beat those examples, and then produce the best output in just minutes instead of us working on it for like hours and hours and still not being able to come up with as good outcome. And when I asked my web designer, I said, hey, like how long would this take you to have built? She literally said, like, number one, she probably wouldn't have been able to write it. And then number two, that if she was working on it with no other clients, it would have taken her days. And if she had other clients, it would have taken her weeks. It took me maybe 2 hours. It took me 30 minutes to get the first mock-up. Once I got revisions, it took me like another hour and a half to come up with this. And then I played around with it and I gave her some other options because I was like, wait, how far could this go? Right? Like, how far could I take this? And just keep in mind, a year ago, I was the worst designer on my team. I probably was the worst writer. And now I'm confident to say that I'm probably the best. And now my team is caught up because they have all these same tools. Okay. So obviously we're an agency and you might be thinking like, oh, well, this is great because you're working with other people. But no, I started this and I shared it with my team because this is how I work now. So if you work in your own company, in your own business, you should have the same framework. And it sounds complicated, but really the first steps are, number one, you go download Claude Code or Claude, and you get a pro account of ChatGPT and you just jump into Codex. Those two words, you open it up, it's a different world. Okay. And I'm going to show you why. So the cool thing about the way we work, and I'm actually going to bring this over, is that while it took me just a couple hours to build it, her website is actually extremely big. I think it said she has over 100 blogs. I don't know, 58 blogs, 57 pages. Like it's pretty big, a lot of blog categories, and I got to migrate this over. So I started this video. I started kind of working on this. I kind of planned how I was going to migrate everything over. And I'm basically just having agents migrate this over. Can you imagine if by hand, right, or by some sort of export, yes, we could have done it, to go through and set up all these new URLs, improve everything, right, like set all these formatting. I don't have to do any of this, right? So how should they be stored? The messy HTML gets cleaned up at migration anyways. Yeah, let's do it like this. Oh, wait, what was the other option? I'll tell it. Go ahead and pick the best option. I didn't read through all of them, but yeah, whatever is most sufficient. Also show me the blog listing page and show me at least 1 to 3 blog post page in the same style that we built. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So yeah, she has a lot of pages. Obviously, we need to run Google ads. We need to run Facebook ads. The first order of business that we have is to, number one, obviously get her homepage approved, which she did, and then start migrating everything over. And once we have the homepage done, like, we can basically kind of guess, like, okay, we have the framework. It just gets better from here, right? Because if we got it good on the first shot, then it's just going to get better. Her website is very confusing to me, so I don't even know how to navigate it. And I've been on it a bunch of times. I don't want to stay on some of these images in case this video gets kind of like shadow banned. But the idea is even this, right? So if you take this example of what I'm doing right now, it's that I am having to transfer over from Squarespace. So what I do is I basically plan it. I plan it with this, and this can run for 20 minutes. I've had this run for as long as 11 hours doing major projects, but I basically document the process and I build a skill. So just think of a skill as basically like your employee handbook. So if you had an employee, a real employee, you would say, hey, when you transfer blogs or you build a website, you have to do A, B, C, D, right? We have templates, and then we have this skill to migrate people over. And you're doing the same thing with your agents. And when I run this, as soon as I'm done or while it's going, I actually update the handbook and I ask the agent, hey, like, what could have been improved? What was not efficient? What did you learn? And it basically knows it has to update its skill anyway, so I don't even have to prompt it. At the end, I have another skill that wraps up sessions, and it basically says, the skill says, hey, clean up your workspace. Let's kind of think about all the lessons we learned and improve it for the future. And that's kind of what I tell my employees is, as we are doing this, right, we are improving it for the next person. So while it might take me 45 minutes, right, with agents to transfer all of her blogs over, which is like 100+ pages, right, 58 blogs plus 57 URLs, the next person that does this, right, they're going to do it faster. It's not going to take 45 minutes because they didn't have to plan the skill. They didn't have to do all that. It's only going to take them 25 minutes, and the next person's going to take 22 minutes, right? And obviously we do this in bulk, but you can think about this in any task, right? Posting a blog, writing content, writing a campaign, posting some sort of funnel on Facebook. And you can see here on the right, like, when you get a software, right? And this is why I actually started, when I was thinking of like building this, I actually started with the idea of like, let me build this as a software with like a web UI and everything. And the reality is that that's actually a really old way of working, because the developer, right, has to get feedback. Okay, like, you want to do this one task over and over again, I have to like program it, whatever. But that's not really how we work, right? Like, and by the way, who would want to build a software just for something like simple like this? Like, hey, let's transfer over this entire blog. Of course, there's plugins for WordPress between blank, but I'm not using WordPress. I'm using pure code. I'm using pure React. There is no front end. There is no like editing images with like drag and drop. No, it's all code. But it's better, it's faster, it's more beautiful, and better performing, and it's just easier to maintain, which sounds counterintuitive because people think, oh no, I need to be able to see. It's like, no, just talk to it. The same way if you had a graphic designer on your team to talk to, if you like made that much money where you just had somebody on hand, you'd say, hey, by the way, I have some notes, like edit, and it'd be done, right? And it'd take them hours, and you'd have to pay an hourly rate. Here, you would just tell an agent, it would go do it, right? Because it has access to your repository, it would deploy to the web, and it would work. And that's why I really think that this is how software and, let's just say, the infrastructure behind businesses should really work. It should basically be a repository, a folder of just knowledge on your computer, or maybe in some sort of shared drive, which we kind of do with GitHub. And I can explain that. It's a little complicated. You can use a Google Drive that kind of syncs. But at the end of the day, we're not restricted by this. The moment something changes, or I have a different idea, or I need to do one extra step, let's just say for this, we have to optimize the images. I might have forgotten about it. It might not even be in the skill. I add it, right? So now we just added a node, and all I did was tell the agent like 2 extra sentences. And now all of a sudden it's going to, right, save it in a specific format so that it's faster. It's going to name it. It's going to make sure like, all the alt text is perfect for it. So yeah, that's kind of what this diagram shows, is like when you're using legacy software, it's a bunch of straight lines and you're like restricted by it. But when you're working like this with Claude Code and Codex, it's like your software can like mold and shape, and you can invent any tool you want on the go, right? Back in the days, like when I was first doing this, I used to pay for transcription software. And then I realized, wait, I can just like build my own, right? And I don't have to pay $10 per hour. Saves me a lot of money, right? Now I don't have to pay that subscription. And ideally, how this works is we don't have to create, or you don't even have to know how to code. Every time I tell somebody, hey, like, use Codex, use Claude Code, the first thing they say is, but I don't code. I don't know how to code. I use it for coding, but 99% of the time, any output I have for any of my clients is usually coming from Claude Code or Codex. Today it's Claude Code because I have to use the usage, but normally I'm using Codex. And whichever one you have, honestly, they're converging on almost being the exact same thing. And I'm actually starting to like Codex better. Even though Claude Code was kind of like the first to the party, I really, really like Codex now, especially like the mobile experience. I almost never have any bugs on mobile to desktop with Codex, and I almost never have anything timeout. I never have any server timeouts, almost ever. But with Claude, a little bit more love-hate relationship lately, and like Codex is coming for you. They were late to the game, they were late to the party, but like their UI for their app is beautiful. I think it's more intuitive. Like I don't know. So yeah, and you can imagine that as you do these things, we can start chaining them together. So like in our agency, right? Normally people would like go into ChatGPT, they'd have a project, they would have a skill. And in the old days, right? Old days was like a couple months ago, someone would go in there and say, hey, we have this new client. Let's use this skill. This is how we research. These are all the reviews. These are all the pain points for this genre. We have tons of documentation. And part of what made it really easy for us to do is that 90% of the value came from the documentation. So like everything in my business has always been documented through Notion or Google Drive because we always sold education. So the way I actually told people, like when they bought into our mastermind coaching program, is like, everything you get is going to be what my employees get on day one. Like one of the things I like doing most for our employees, like when they first start, I have them do like an actual funnel or build. And that's because I don't want them to think, oh, they need training. They don't. They just need to follow our documentation. And that's kind of how we treat the agents now, is like, okay, well, if this was perfectly written for like a college grad to come in and never having logged into Google could like set up Google Analytics and like, Google Tag Manager and Google Ads all in the same day from reading, these agents can do it in like 30 minutes, right? And then you can start chaining it together, right? So if you build the intake for research, and then you build the intake for like let's just say like your strategy, right? Because we do a huge go-to-market document, and then you do kind of like the homepage, and then you write your Google ads, and you write your exit quiz, and then you write your meta ads, and then you plan 3 funnels, and then you plan your, right? It can do it all in sequence. So instead of you sitting there in one project and like running 10 skills and like you're sitting there talking back and forth, it starts to become an assembly line. And it's crazy because people think, oh, it has to be AI slop. No, it's when I look at work from people now, I'm like, oh, I can tell a person did this, right? And maybe it's because I'm not in the world, because sometimes I've seen over people's shoulders, or people have shown me their like ChatGPT what they're working on, and the prompts are like so bad. And trust me, my prompts are really bad too, but the reason they get so good is because I don't stop with one prompt. I go to like one platform, and then I build like this huge prompt. Even this, when I was doing this like website migration, I spent like 20 minutes building the prompt for this, building the plan. Like, okay, well, like how do we mitigate this? Do we make it generic for all platforms? Right. And it's actually been working on it as we go. It's actually pretty cool. The idea was that I would run this, and like at the end of the video, I would show you like the results of it. Yeah. So one of the big benefits of this is not only quality. So I'll stand by that, but the quality is significantly better than almost anything a human could put out. Because remember, we've taken the best examples ever and the best instructions. They keep getting better every time we run them. And then we output what we would have done, but just the best, right? Like not every human is always like at their Michael Jordan peak every day they wake up, right? Sometimes they're tired, they have problems with their girlfriend, with their wife, whatever. AI doesn't have that problem, right? So like even this is one of the most beautiful websites we've produced, and it was me, a non-designer, somebody who can't even draw a cat, right? Skill. And I can write kind of like my best writer on my team, right? And the best writer can design now if they use these tools. And that's the benefit. So obviously the quality, but also the speed. So if you're going through this, and let's just say you're working the old way where you're like, oh, I'm anti-AI, I'm just gonna use ChatGPT, I have the free version, blah, 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 the context windows suck, it loses track, whatever. Can't work on big projects like this that you're expecting to bring you back tens of thousands of dollars, but we can't shell out $20 to $100. you're working the old way. You're launching something every like 2, 3 months. You're thinking about it, blah, blah, blah. You're invested in it. And because you're so invested in it and you have to think about it so much and like you put so much effort into it, it actually almost has the opposite effect where it makes you slower at deploying things. So then next thing you know, you're slower and you don't get the feedback where somebody working like this that can iterate daily, that like from the start can just launch day 1.5, they can just set ad spend and they can get feedback back and say, okay, you know what? People are clicking off here. People are falling off here. You know what? They're filling the form out, but then they're not booking. You know, let's tidy these things up. And by the end, right? So imagine this person iterating here at the bottom is just like better, 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 kind of like our skills. 3 months later, this person hasn't even launched and this person's already made a pile of money. Maybe they just broke even, but now they have a million lessons, right? And people kind of undervalue that, right? They want to like fail slowly instead of failing really, really fast and then like iterating, right? And making it work. So like I said, I mean, the effect of having this is that, yeah, you basically get master copywriting skills, designer, market research. Kind of said that, obviously. And the way this really works is, it sounds confusing, but all of this is shared across my team with one folder. It's a huge folder. All our clients are in there. There's a lot of rules in there. There's a lot of skills in there. And at the end of the day, we just sync it with GitHub. You can sync it with almost anything. OneDrive, Mac sync, whatever. If you're a small team, if you have two computers, if you're a solopreneur, you might not even have to worry about that, right? And all you really need is that a laptop, one folder, and then one of these subscriptions. No in betweens. Of course, make sure you're at Anthropic, make sure you're at ChatGPT, and you're buying these exact things. Okay. And then yeah, so how do we even make it like take a step up? Well, what you do is you don't only work on your files, right? Because that's, by the way, that's like tons of power. But now you can connect it to your Gmail, you connect it to your Google Drive, connect it to your Slack, connect it to everything, right? So not only on a lot of these you can read, but you can also write to them, right? So you can use like the Google Ads API, and instead of you like 10 minutes after I write the ads, instead of having to go and drag and drop for like 20 minutes, I can just hit a button, say go ahead and publish it, right? And it'll sync it back. I go turn it on, I just double check all the settings, maybe I have to go do some things in the account, but it's published really fast. And this is actually really good, especially if you're, somewhat of like an office worker or something like that, or do any sort of, sometimes you do a lot of communication and stuff. I actually showed my team like, hey, I do everything in markdown files. So why don't I just make a skill to present files to clients when I'm like done, when I present them like the Google ads, I present them the funnel, present them the Facebook ads, whatever. I have a skill that uploads it to Google Drive, sends permissions to that client's email from that Slack channel because it has access to all these things, and then sends the message for me, right? So like it's getting to the point where I don't even want to do that in between stuff. And like, why would you? It's like you could be, I mean, this is an exaggeration, but you could be like in Cabo, like on a boat, and you can get a new client, onboard them, right? Run one skill, and then at the end of it, just talk to your little agent that's connected to maybe a computer, maybe you're working on the cloud, and you just tell it, hey, convert this to a document, send it over to X client, and it works really well. So again, you really build it once, and then it gets better every single time. I talked about that, and the cool thing is that it's not linear, where it's just kind of like your experience using ChatGPT. You like dump a bunch of stuff in there. The context window is really bad because you have a low pay or a free plan. And then like you just get output. Like on these, your agents can make mistakes. They can like explore things. They can figure things out mid-flight and like stop and ask you, or just make the decision themselves, or give you two versions. And it kind of symbolizes this, that like we have very strict rules. Like when we create Google ads, we need these exact things. We need these many keyword syntax, this much location syntax for Google ads. We need these UTM parameters, and we need the structured JSON makes it so that the output is usually extremely consistent. And you can have other agents in the loop check the work, right? So that could be part of your skills. Like, hey, maybe you do have that problem. Like you're doing really complicated things. Just add one step where you basically ask another agent, hey, hand it off to an adversary, give it a rubric, and check it. So there's a lot of ways to quality check this. Like I get frustrated. Like I hate looking at like AI slop. So I have a lot of rules in mind that when I'm going to see something, I need the agent to like open a browser, take a bunch of screenshots, Like make sure everything's responsive. I need it to be mobile first. This is mobile first. And before I even look at it. And that saves me a lot of time and it's just good practice. So, the skills get better and it'll say, hey, I made all these mistakes. Let's fix them for next time. So let's go back. Okay. And yeah, so like I said, the 10th run gets better. The time keeps coming down. And I actually kind of launched this on kind of like a test client of ours. She only runs Google Ads. She has a really successful business. I like testing things on people that are already successful because I just know they're going to be even more successful. I don't have to fix a bunch of things. So things I liked about her, she called people back extremely fast, really good on the phone, just a closer, no excuses, no crazy tech, no call scheduler, no fields, just call people. She knows she wants to book them, gets them on the phone, connects with them, makes a lot of money. Let's just say like over $500,000 a year. Well, her lead cost was getting really, really high before she started working with us. So I actually kind of used her account. I had all this documentation. I used her account and like refined everything and just started chaining everything together. All these tools, all these skills, everything we always used. And I got her lead cost down from like over 150 to like under like $40 on Google. That is like extraordinary for Google. If anybody knows, like a full form, like 7 questions, phone number, question, blah, blah, blah. And now with the same budget, she's getting significantly more leads and she's booking way more clients. And you can imagine if every client's worth $5,000 to her, like this is a no-brainer. And I told her when she hired me, I said, I'm going to use my like pure AI system. It's going to be better than anything I can do by hand. You're going to love it. The one downside to it is her website wasn't AI. And like, let's just say it wasn't like super code friendly. And when I say that, I'm basically saying like, if you use Squarespace and show it and stuff, like it's really obnoxious to like try to have your agent use like a visual builder, click, 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 and like change things. It's really slow. Right? Like to migrate 100 pages I would never have it do it. And you would probably burn through all your tokens in like one day. And you'd be really frustrated. It'd stop a million times. So I kind of thought after her, I was like, okay, well, she wasn't even that bad. Like her website was good. Her work was good, right? We did really good copy revisions. She's getting really high conversions. But if she was kind of using this system that Seattle Boudoir agreed to, she's like one of the first clients that has said, yeah, heck yeah, I'm going to use it. She would be much happier and she would launch a lot more meta ads. It's actually something I'm trying to convince her of, by the way. So if you're watching this, yeah, meta ads next. Okay. So you're probably wondering, is my data safe? Yeah, I'm going to say it is. I mean, honestly, this is not OpenClaw. This is not that BS. OpenClaw also, I mean, you can make it as secure as you want, right? You can obviously, well, you're really building software. I have like front ends to this and back ends to this. You can just work locally if you're just working by yourself. That greatly reduces things. And if you're connecting to like APIs that are really secure, just be smart about it. Okay, so since I've been talking to you, this is what has happened. It built the skill for this. There's no navigation on it. It built the blog lander. So it's all this is from scratch. I didn't really give it much on the design. I kind of wanted just the data over. But yeah, you can see the agent's actually doing everything itself. I can actually put this here. So let me see. A couple notes. There is no navigation. Looks a little bit bare. So not the happiest with it. And I guess it's stuck a little bit. But yeah, really need to address this, especially the lack of navigation. Maybe it's intentional. And I don't think I can scroll yet. So if you can fix that scrolling feature. Okay. Okay. So you can see it's probably still working. Probably was going to get up to that and stuff, but it generated it. It brought over the images. I'm actually going to see what the image address is. Okay. Couples intimate boudoir photo 2025. So something I'd have to tidy up, right? Like I don't want dates in it. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more specific. Maybe alt text is different. I can look at all those details after. But you can see it's working. So it's pretty good. I'm going to go to bed. It's almost midnight. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to have a beautiful blog listing page, beautiful blog format, and everything's going to be done perfectly. All the SEO is going to be amazing on it. And let me actually check it. Title, page title, Seattle Boudoir Company, description, boudoir tips, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you can see like it's definitely doing some of the SEO and stuff in there. Okay, now obviously I need schema, etc. So yeah, let's go. So you can see that's actually kind of how it works. What does it cost to run? Honestly, let's just say you weren't working with the team. It might cost you anywhere from like I would say $100 for a subscription. If you were actually going to use like if you were going to use this heavy and you were going to like use it for everything like I do, at least $100. I very quickly, as a power user, got to $200 on the Claude plan, and then I went to $200 on the Codex plan on ChatGPT, and I also have the $200 Perplexity. This might be overkill, but at the same time, you can see I'm like running this for everything. So $100, I would say, would be safe if you're a serious business owner or you're someone like would using this for your business or for work. You should have the $100 plan minimum. You should not have the $20 plan where every 10 minutes you're like running out of tokens. You have to like cool off, and that's not professional. Don't do that. Mm. And the reason it's so cheap is you're using the subscription. Honestly, they're kind of like subsidizing you. Like if you were to pay API, if I were to pay API rates for this, I'd be paying like $11,000. I kind of calculated, I'd be paying $11,000 a month or something like that. So the amount of usage I get for like $400 to $600 is amazing. Like it really is. I would pay a fortune for this because that's how good it is. You have to be technical. You definitely don't have to be technical, but you will become technical, and it'll give you like the experience and like the desire to become more technical. Okay. You've been kind of watching it work right now, right? It's solving a lot of things. And remember, I'm totally, this is like the first time we're doing it. Like one photographer agreed. Every time after this is going to be faster. So but it does have to remember the schema, certain number of calls to action, and those are the kind of things that we're like in the future. It's never going to forget. It's never going to forget the navigation again. And again, I think the navigation probably is coming. It's probably just taking care of this. And you can imagine this is probably just copying like exactly what she had. So at the same time, sometimes I don't know. Like it could have just done this, and it's also not like scrolling all the way. So, but it's still working. So I wouldn't have said anything to an employee, right? If they were working, I might ask one time, but they'd be like, "Hey, I haven't gotten to that yet, boss. Stop bothering me." Okay, is the output good? You guys be the judge. You guys have seen that. Will it work for? It'll work for any business. Honestly, it'll work for any business. No exceptions. I don't care. I don't care if you're a lawyer. You're not special. If anything, anything that's repetitive and you do stuff over and over. I've been using this for my stupid defamation legal case that is really annoying, but it actually helped me a lot and actually like convinced me more than ever. Like these jobs are so repetitive. Like if you're, I'm not even a lawyer, and I was like, man, this is so easy. Like just do a little bit of research, check your citations, use some APIs, like easy. Especially if you have the facts on your side, much easier. Okay, will it work for my studio? Okay, how about cool tools that you already use? We already talked about that. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, I might just pause it and just like, I mean, it's 12:01 right now. You'll see how long it takes after, and I'll force this message through. But yeah, I gotta make sure you can see it's making it load lazy, so it's gonna load faster. It's gonna add a FAQ post page, question and answer. I don't know. On this at night, I can tell it like, hey, run autonomously. If you run into issues, skip it, but try to figure it out. Give me two versions. When you wake up, this task that would have taken you 3 days, right, for any business, right, you're trying to migrate yourself off, and you can imagine, it just gets faster and faster. So yeah, I'm really happy with what I built. I want to inspire you. Like this, you're not too late. Be like the powerhouses in the business and like their careers are going to be people that like adopt this and are like the master puppeteers of all agents and like can do all of what I'm doing, but like times 10 because they have one agent like controlling everything else, doing like 16 tasks. It's just getting better. Every month I'm getting blown away. Like Claude Code and Codex are getting better. They're competing heavily. Like it's you might not even be a photographer, but yeah, this is like the real way. And the reason I made this video is honestly, a lot of videos on this topic are kind of along the lines of like, oh, build this like amazing dashboard. Somebody sent me a video today of like someone talking to Jarvis, and the only thing I can think of was like, you're just burning tokens. This is performative. It doesn't do anything. Like this, the age of just having dashboards and dashboards and dashboards, not doing anything with it is so useless. I'd rather get like a wrap up email and then basically like have an agent every day stand up, have information and like tell me what to do, right? Not me like look at it. I just see like performative busy work where it's like this is output. It's, you know, taking all your business processes, documenting them, making them sharper, sharper, sharper until the moment like someone just signs on with us in the future. And maybe my employees are worried about this. I'm not, because they're just gonna have to expect it. It just does everything, and it's actually kind of where it is right now, anyways. And then they look at it, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is so beautiful! Wow!" And then, most importantly, we launch their ads, make a ton of money, high conversions. They're super happy. Do they care that I used AI? No, I don't think they really wish Umberto and his team would have spent 6 times longer doing it, and I wouldn't have been making this money for 7 months. Well, not that long, but you understand. Yeah, that's it for this video. Hopefully, this reaches someone, it inspires you, and you kind of open Claude Code Codex and you start. Okay, I took a YouTube break, but I came back and it found some issues, mainly with some of the content we were bringing over. One, a lot of the links weren't perfect, so we do have to set some redirects, and there's a lot of pages that are internally linked that are not built yet, so we'll have to fix all those links. Also, on the SEO AEO quality, it wasn't great on the original site, so we will have to fix that. We're going to add pagination to the blog listing page, which is here. And then a lot of the alt text is perfect, so we're going to have to fan out, like read it with some agents, and then we're going to have to rename things and then just fix some of the titles and descriptions. Okay. So yeah, it's actually coming out really well. One thing I might do sometimes is maybe make like a variation B and say, hey, go a little bit more darker, moody, make it kind of film strippy like the homepage. But I think I'm gonna worry about just the data migration for now, not complicate it. And then in the morning, maybe I'll do that. But I wanted to work on one thing. I could have it do two. It's not a big deal, but just so you can kind of see what the thought process is here is I wanted to migrate everything over, get it perfect, get the SEO perfect. I'll worry about the design after because this is a little bit, and I'm actually building the skill specifically for this. Okay, so I'm going to interact with it. Okay, so what I want you to do is while we're here, update the skill to kind of catch these items so that, we have less to edit in the future. Go ahead and start migrating everything over. So far, so good. And let's make sure that we fix everything on the incoming. All the internal links are fixed and that we have redirects for anything we broke. And then you can also start bringing in the landing pages. The biggest thing is we have to make sure that everything is sharing reusable components when possible. So please stick to that. If you have any questions, you are working autonomously. Your goal is to complete the migration by the time I wake up. So if you have any issues, call up another 4.8 agent, do kind of like a model council, figure it out. If not, just defer it or give me another variation and continue till the morning. And they have this cool feature called goal. And what this is going to do is this basically tells my agent, hey, like if you ever find a stopping point, it thinks it's done, it'll read the plan, it'll read this, and it'll say, hey, did I reach this yet? No, I didn't reach this yet, so I need to keep working. And it'll work for hours. Dangerous if, what burns your tokens, but I trust it. I plan this well out, and it's doing very well. If you run into the goal looping more than 2 times, you can find a stopping point or move on to the next thing, but don't get into an unlimited cycle with the goal. Okay, and there we are. So this is it. This is the equivalent of me talking to an employee, right? They would present it to me. I might say, hey, you're doing a good job with the data. We need to maybe look at what it looks like to migrate everything over. After we do that, we'll worry about the design. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. Although I know 100% it could handle it, I am really focused on that skill, right? I said because next time I do this, because I have a couple clients that want to transfer over to this, everything will be smoother. So by the third, fourth, fifth one, I don't even need, I'll just do / blog migration, / website migration. It'll migrate over perfectly well. I won't even have to worry about this because I'll have a checklist, I'll have a rubric. But because this is one of the first times I'm manually doing it, or I haven't built a skill for it yet, I'm having to pay the price, but it's going to get better and better. So that's it in real time.